Black City. Tavern. The burning candle in the lamp dispelled the darkness of the street. Several tables of people sat by the tavern windows, each holding a bucket of wine, talking and cursing loudly. Hey, have you heard? The old city lord's daughter failed at another matchmaking today. Isn't that normal? She was ugly to begin with and her standards were too high when she was young. She's been looking for a match for over 20 years without getting married, and now she's almost 40. What man would want her? I saw her a few days ago. She's gotten even fatter than 6 months ago with a big head and ears like a pig running around desperately looking for men. But even the strongest man would probably be crushed to death by her in bed, right? I heard she's recently set her sights on that strong man San from the south side of the city, sticking to him like glue every day. Doesn't San already have a wife? And his wife is quite beautiful too. He must be really annoyed now. Fortunately, after the old city lord had her, he had another son. Otherwise this bloodline might have ended. By the way, I haven't seen the city lord's young son for quite a while. Of course, the eldest daughter can't get married, but this young son is the important bloodline for the continuation of the entire Black City. The old city lord keeps him hidden away like a treasure every day, who knows where. Listening to the men's conversation, number 22, sitting in the corner, silently put down his wine glass. He stood up, pushed open the door and walked straight into the dark stone-paved road. Bloodline, he murmured, narrowing his eyes. He turned through several streets to reach the southern side of the city, climbed onto the roof of a fairly tall building, and scanned the ancient city below him in the darkness as if looking for something. Finally, his gaze fixed on a certain low stone house. His figure flickered and disappeared from the spot. Knock, knock, knock. The heavy knocking echoed in the darkness like urgent drum beats. Bang! A man, bare-chested, violently pushed open the door from inside, his face contorted with anger. He looked at the old woman before him, at least 800 pounds, with dark skin, a fat head and big ears, his eyes full of annoyance and rage. Aren't you tired of this? You dead woman, stop harassing me. The old woman wasn't angered, she just stood at his doorway, chuckling, her entire body of fat trembling. Sen, be with me. I'm the city lord's daughter, I have a lot of money, and when we have children they can become the city lord. City lord? To hell with your city lord, the man cursed. I have a wife. Get lost. So what if you have a wife? We can have a secret affair. If your wife finds out, I'll have someone tie her up and throw her into the well as a sacrifice to the 3 gods. That way we can be together forever. Crazy. You're crazy. The man, burning with rage, suddenly raised his foot and kicked the old woman in the chest, knocking her to the ground. Her round body rolled over twice like a ball. I'm just not into you. Get lost. If you come again I'll chop you up. Bang. The man slammed the door shut. On the dark stone road, the fat old woman struggled to get up while breathing heavily. She glared at the closed door, cursed a few dirty words, pushed her muddy, greasy hair behind her back, and moved breathlessly toward the other side of the road. After some time, a flicker of candlelight slowly approached from ahead. The old woman frowned and looked closely. He was a man with somewhat unfamiliar features. The swaying candlelight in the darkness illuminated an exceptionally handsome face. The old woman had never seen such a good-looking man before. Her gaze fell on that face and seemed unable to move away, as if captivated. The moment those eyes met hers, she felt a strange fire ignite from the bottom of her heart. The old woman's breathing suddenly became heavy. She stared at the man's body, her skin taking on a pinkish hue. The man, holding an oil lamp, walked up to her. His eyes, with a hint of strange light, stared into the old woman's eyes, as if looking directly into her soul. I see your desire. Number 22's dreamlike voice echoed in the old woman's ears. Whoosh. Number 22 blew out the oil lamp in his hand. Moments later, sounds of pleasure emerged from the dark corner of the street. After some time, the faint light of the oil lamp was lit again. Number 22 placed the lamp aside, put on his clothes and looked down at his palm. In his hand was a writhing piece of flesh. Vaguely, the form of an infant could be seen. The old woman lay like a puddle of mud in the street corner, motionless except for her rising and falling chest, her entire body pink. Number 22 put away the infant form, looked at the mountain of flesh that was the old woman's body, and seemed to recall what had just happened. His mouth twitched slightly. He immediately took 2 steps forward, leaned against the wall corner and began to retch violently. After retching continuously for half a minute, number 22 finally took a deep breath and walked to the old woman. A cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes. He reached out and suddenly grabbed the old woman's throat. She, still enjoying the afterglow of pleasure, suddenly widened her eyes, and her enormous body began to struggle violently. But no matter how she struggled, number 22's hand remained as firm as an iron clamp, completely unmoved. Her movements gradually slowed down and finally fell into complete stillness, breathing no more. Number 22 expressionlessly withdrew his hand, picked up the oil lamp and calmly walked into the dark street. Only a huge, dark corpse was left lying quietly in the corner. Meanwhile, on the other side of Black City. Is this the ancient well number 22 mentioned? Claude and the others took advantage of the night to come to the edge of the city, gathering around the ancient well and whispering. Yes. Claude nodded. I smell blood. So what should we do? Go down and take a look, bring up the Holy Grail? Will there be any danger? I don't know. Then who goes down first? Everyone gathered around the ancient well, falling into silence. After some time, Claude sighed, stood up and said, I'll go first. My lightning can dispel the darkness, you follow behind me. As he finished speaking, Claude rubbed his hands together, creating a ball of lightning in his palms, then flipped into the ancient well. The lightning illuminated the edges of the dark well as he fell rapidly. The other agents gathered around the well looked at each other, then leaped down one after another. The depth of the ancient well far exceeded their imagination. After falling for about 10 seconds, they heard Claude, who was at the bottom, land with a dull thud, followed immediately by a joyful exclamation. I found the Holy Grail. The biting cold wind carried sand particles, nearly burying the nearly 20 black dots on the desert. The many agents braved the wind and sand, moving forward in silence, no longer showing their previously relaxed and natural expressions, replaced instead by unprecedented solemnity. They kept their heads down, their eyes flickering as if each person had their own thoughts. We're almost there, Lin Chia, who was walking at the front, suddenly spoke. Hearing these words, the somber atmosphere broke and everyone raised their heads to look into the distance. Amid the swirling yellow sand, the vague outline of an oasis appeared faintly on the horizon. Everyone's eyes brightened at first, then their expressions grew increasingly heavy. The Holy Grail, is there? Pakesh gazed into the distance, slightly frowning. That place doesn't look like it would house a divine artifact. The Holy Grail has sentience and doesn't normally reveal itself. We need specific methods to awaken it. Specific methods? Under everyone's puzzled gaze, Lin Chia pushed up his monocle. The method to awaken the Holy Grail is simple, which is a hot dance full of masculine charm. All agents. Hot dance. The Holy Grail has a preference for male beauty. Only a masculine, vigorous hot dance can please it enough to emerge from hiding. Lin Chia said with a straight face. The agents were dumbfounded. Miles, you're not joking, are you? Someone among the agents asked incredulously. I'm not joking. This is what I saw in my prophecy. Lin Chia's expression was extremely serious. I saw you all dancing at the edge of the dried-up oasis, and then the Holy Grail rose from the dark cave, fulfilling your wishes. I know this sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling the truth. I, Miles, swear in the name of the god of magic. Seeing Lin Chia's solemn expression, all the agents fell silent simultaneously. Although they thought this was nonsense, throughout their journey, Lin Chia's actions had completely earned their trust, and he had no reason to lie to them about this. I understand. Pakesh paused. What should we do? Everyone take off your shirts and gather around the oasis. After Lin Chia finished speaking, the agents hesitated briefly but still complied, removing their clothes to reveal muscular physiques, and walked directly toward the dried-up lakeside. Lin Chia didn't take off his clothes. He stood in place, watching everyone obediently walking toward the lake, a hint of a smile flashing across his lips. This was certainly not the location where the Holy Grail was kept. Lin Chia had never found any information about the Holy Grail, let alone any nonsense about prophecy arts. This was merely the resting place of the wine god's pot that had a preference for male beauty. Lin Chia wasn't curious about where the Holy Grail actually was. Only by obtaining the star coin, Could one have a chance to control the entire king's treasury, and to draw out the star coin? A large amount of negative emotions was needed. Now the stage was set, the groundwork was laid, and the tools for producing negative emotions were in place. All that remained was a fuse to ignite everything. Lin Chia walked to a corner of the oasis. A faint magical glow flashed beneath his feet, and a pug wearing a tailcoat was summoned, instantly disappearing into the withered forest. After doing all this, Lin Chia returned to the dried-up lakeside. By now, all the agents had removed their shirts and gathered around the lake, occasionally glancing at each other, their eyes filled with suspicion and fear. "We're ready," Prakash said. Lin Chia nodded. "Start dancing." The cold wind swept through the desolate oasis as everyone looked at each other awkwardly and asked, "Do we really have to dance? How should we dance?" "Follow my rhythm and improvise the rest," Lin Chia said solemnly. "Remember, the key is to express your masculine charm." Of course, Lin Chia couldn't possibly demonstrate the dance of the idol trainees himself, as it was too embarrassing. If he actually danced today, it would probably become a life stain no less significant than first host Shallow Feather Chia. The agents gritted their teeth as if they had completely thrown caution to the wind and nodded firmly. Lin Chia took a deep breath, imitating the rhythm of the macho men's dance at that time. "Hey!" The agents' bodies tensed and they reluctantly began to stiffly move their bodies. In the dark night with howling sand. By the dried-up oasis, nearly 20 divine agents, bare-chested, began a strange dance. Lin Chia's lips twitched slightly as he held back his laughter. His fingers hidden behind his back rubbed together and a magical glow appeared, igniting a flame out of thin air. The dance was not the key to bringing out the wine god's pot. Fire was. Of course, this was something he would never tell these agents. As the flame ignited, the dried earth suddenly began to tremble. The awkwardly dancing agents around saw this and their eyes lit up simultaneously. "It's working. Miles didn't lie to us." The agents saw a faint golden light rising from the black cave, and for a moment they seemed to forget their embarrassment, unconsciously increasing the amplitude of their body movements. Moments later, a golden light shot up rapidly into the night sky. "It's the Holy Grail!" Lin Chia shouted at just the right moment. Everyone looked up at the golden afterimage, their eyes flickering intensely with greed, hesitation, malice, determination. Their expressions varied in an instant. At the same time, in a corner of the oasis, a pug wearing a tailcoat suddenly stood on its hind legs. A faint light flashed in its eyes. Among the agents gathered around the lake, one boundless level agent felt his vision blur, and the night, desert, oasis, and Holy Grail all disappeared. There was only a giant pug hundreds of meters tall, raising its front paw and slamming it down toward his head. Dream divergence. Trapped in the realistic dream, that agent was shocked and instinctively channeled all his mental power to attack the pug above his head. In the real world, the other agents only saw an intense wave of mental power surge, followed by a figure suddenly reaching out to grab the golden, Holy Grail above. The already tense situation was completely ignited by this sudden move. Just as Miles had said, everyone wanted to seize the Holy Grail, sacrificing others to save themselves. This thought flashed through everyone's minds simultaneously, and their expressions became extremely ferocious as they followed that reaching figure, grabbing toward the sky. No one wanted to be a sacrifice. They all wanted to be the final winner who sacrificed others. In an instant, nearly 20 completely different divine domains erupted with a roar. Black City. At the edge of the city-state. In the pitch-black ancient well, a dark golden chalice emitted dreamlike radiance, with blood-red wine swirling inside, captivating everyone's attention. Claude and the others stared intently at the floating Holy Grail, swallowing hard. "Holy Grail? Is this the Holy Grail?" One agent murmured. "The supreme wish-granting machine that can fulfill any desire." Claude's eyes lit up with joy. "We found it." He reached out, about to touch the Holy Grail that was within reach, when suddenly, a sharp cold gleam flashed from behind. Claude felt a chill on the back of his neck, his hair standing on end. Without thinking, he lunged forward. The next moment, a dark-colored long blade silently passed over his head, cutting a few strands of his hair while simultaneously decapitating the two agents standing beside him. Their heads, full of terror and confusion, were thrown high into the air. The spurting blood was drawn toward the dark golden chalice floating in the center, flowing into it like a stream. The crimson liquid rose slightly, rippling against the smooth walls of the cup. Claude came to his senses and turned around sharply. He saw that 2 agents had already joined forces and begun attacking all the agents at the bottom of the ancient well. The strike that had nearly cost Claude his life had been delivered by one of these agents. Seeing that his attack had failed to kill Claude, he frowned, then the dark light around his body flashed and surged toward Claude like a tsunami. "Have you gone mad?" Claude roared. "Mad? I think you're the mad ones," that agent sneered. "You actually thought you could slay gods with a few divine artifacts? Do you really think gods are pushovers? Now the Holy Grail, that can fulfill any wish, is right before us. If we kill all of you, we can wish to erase the divine marks within our bodies. When survival is at stake, who wants to risk opposing the gods?" Splat. Splat. 2 more sprays of blood erupted as another 2 agents had their chests pierced in a sudden attack. They clutched their chests in agony and looked back at the 2 traitors, their eyes filled with rage. But as their life force rapidly drained away, this anger eventually transformed into pure suffering. "Claude." A dying agent reached out his hand, seemingly asking Claude to save him, but the latter only gave him a complicated look and shook his head. "Sorry, I can't save you." Hearing these words, the hope in that agent's eyes completely shattered, leaving only endless despair. He clutched Claude's clothes and took his final breath. In the narrow ancient well of the 7 people who had been searching for the Holy Grail, together, only 3 remained. Although 4 agents had died tragically, not a trace of blood could be smelled in the well. Every drop of blood and flesh had been devoured by the Holy Grail, in the center, transformed into crimson wine swirling within the cup. Claude looked at the dreamlike Holy Grail, his eyes flickering momentarily before narrowing as he turned toward the 2 attackers. "Your plan was perfect, but unfortunately, you failed to kill me immediately." Claude spoke coldly as dancing lightning flashed beneath the ancient well. "Since your original plan has failed, you might as well become my sacrifices too." The faces of the 2 agents immediately darkened. Although they were all at the Klein level, Claude before them ranked 6th among the 10 lords, and he possessed the divine ruins of Thor, the thunder god, with tremendous destructive power. "Grab the Holy Grail first. Use it against him," one of the agents shouted. Both agents reached for the floating dark golden chalice in the center. Claude snorted coldly, lightning erupting around his body, rushing forward at an astonishing speed. Boom! A blinding flash of lightning mixed with thunderous noise exploded at the edge of the city-state. Countless lightning bolts tore the ancient well to pieces, and 2 charred figures rose from the ground. Then, like the thunder god descending to earth, Claude floated up from the dust, the Holy Grail, emitting dreamlike light cradled in his left hand. Claude stared at the crimson liquid swirling in the dark golden chalice in his palm, his eyes somewhat distant. He shifted his gaze to the 2 disheveled agents before him and sneered. "You 2 actually thought you could snatch the Holy Grail? You're insane," one of the agents shouted, creating such a commotion that old man will come with the scepter. "We'll all die then." Claude's gaze sharpened as he turned to look into the distance. The sudden lightning storm had awakened the sleeping city-state. Countless residents emerged from their homes in terror, looking in their direction. Meanwhile, a black dot was rapidly approaching from the direction of the Lord's mansion. Claude glanced at the Holy Grail, in his hand, and for some reason, felt unprecedented confidence rising within him. "This time I won't give him the chance to use that scepter," he said calmly. In the distance, the old city lord, wearing pajamas and holding the king's scepter, was rushing toward them. His gaze fell on the figure surrounded by terrifying lightning, and when he clearly saw what was in his hand, his expression changed. "This is bad, it's the Holy Grail." The old city lord's heart sank. The scepter could forcibly requisition others' power, but its range was limited. To drain Claude and the others' mental power from a distance, he needed to be within a kilometer. Normally, this 1-kilometer distance wouldn't be an issue for the old city lord, as most battles occurred at close range. Even if someone attacked with mental or divine power from afar, as long as the attack entered the 1-kilometer range, he could forcibly requisition it with the scepter. but he never imagined that Claude would obtain the Holy Grail. The Holy Grail was the supreme wish-granting machine with no distance limitations. And the wishes triggered by the Holy Grail didn't belong to any form of energy, so even the scepter couldn't forcibly requisition them. The old city lord gritted his teeth, about to accelerate to quickly enter the 1-kilometer range, when in the distant night sky, the figure surrounded by lightning slowly raised the Holy Grail in his hand. "I wish for human petrification," Claude said calmly. As his words fell, the crimson liquid swirling in the dark golden chalice decreased slightly. At the same time, a faint light flashed across the surface of the Holy Grail, and some incredibly mysterious power rippled outward. Several kilometers away, the old city lord felt his body stiffen, freezing in place. Gray-white stone rapidly filled his body. He looked at his quickly petrifying form in astonishment, his eyes full of terror and despair. 3 seconds later, a stone statue of an old man holding the scepter appeared on the stone-paved street of the city-state. In the distance, Claude held the Holy Grail, and seeing this scene, a smile curled at the corner of his mouth. He raised his fingertip. Crack! A thick bolt of lightning struck down from the sky, instantly shattering the petrified old city lord into pieces of flesh scattered across the ground. The golden scepter fell onto the ancient stone bricks, emitting a humming sound, rolling forward along the uneven road. Without the scepter, the old city lord was just an ordinary person, completely unable to withstand even a trace of Claude's lightning power. After borrowing the power of the Holy Grail to instantly kill the old city lord, Claude turned to look at the 2 disheveled agents in front of him, whose faces had become extremely ugly. In terms of direct combat power, the 2 of them were no match for Claude to begin with, and now that he had seized the Holy Grail first, their chances of winning were extremely slim. "Claude, this is all a misunderstanding," one of the agents swallowed his saliva, forcing a smile at the corner of his mouth. "Look, even if you kill us now, you'll only gain 2 corpses. But there are more than a dozen people out there searching for the Holy Grail. If they join forces even with the Holy Grail, you might not win. If you spare us, we can help you set a trap to kill them, and you can gain a large number of sacrifices at once. Yes, we may not be good at direct combat, but we're experts at schemes and tricks. We can really help you." Hearing their almost pleading tone, Claude remained completely unmoved. He glanced at the Holy Grail in his hand and calmly said, "Now that I have the Holy Grail, even if all dozen of them come at once, they won't be my match. To me, your only value is becoming sacrifices." Slash. Dense lightning crashed down from the sky, like a forest of lightning, instantly engulfing the 2 agents. Claude didn't use the Holy Grail. After all, each time this divine artifact was used, it consumed the life force he had collected. Instead, his physical body transformed into lightning, overwhelmingly powerful as he charged directly into the lightning forest to battle with the 2 agents. At this moment, below the ancient well that had been reduced to ruins, the forms of 3 stone statues slowly emerged from nothingness. They raised their heads, looking at the continuous thundering lightning in the sky. "Good, things are developing as we predicted. The life force of those agents is far more abundant than ordinary people. Just let the Holy Grail absorb a bit more and it will be completely fulfilled." The central stone statue didn't speak, just silently gazing at the sky as if searching for something. Finally, its gaze slightly focused. In a corner of the dark night sky, a faint blue light gently flickered, easily overlooked if not carefully observed. If one flew up to the sky and looked closely, one could see it was a spinning star coin. It was in the high sky, jumping and rotating while moving toward the battlefield below, like an interested spectator gradually approaching the performance stage. "It's the star coin," the central statue spoke. It was indeed drawn here. "That star coin loves negative emotions like anger and despair. The betrayal and slaughter among these agents suits its taste," another statue said. "That star coin is very cautious. It's too far from us now, and acting rashly might startle it and scare it away. Let's wait until it gets closer before capturing it." "All right." The 3 stone statues simultaneously gazed at the star coin that was continuously approaching in the sky, like hunters waiting for their prey to draw near. As the star coin descended, the 3 stone statues trembled slightly, seemingly ready to act at any moment. But just then the rotating star coin in the sky seemed to sense something and suddenly changed direction, looking toward somewhere outside the city-state. Its rotation speed increased slightly, its form flickered, and it transformed into a light blue streak, instantly disappearing without a trace. The 3 stone statues were simultaneously stunned. The star coin left? How is that possible? The battle here isn't over yet. It's no longer interested in the negative emotions here? How could this be? It's not that it's not interested, the central statue said after a moment of silence. I think it saw a more attractive stage and was drawn away. Besides here, where else could have so many negative emotions? One statue asked in confusion. The central statue didn't answer. It slightly turned its head, looking in the direction that star coin had departed, gazing at somewhere outside the city-state. Dried oasis. More than 10 distinctly different divine ruin fluctuations collided with each other, producing thunderous roars. Lin Chia stood at the edge of the oasis, calmly observing the chaotic battlefield before him. Under Wang Sai's deliberate guidance, the suspicion and doubt Lin Chia had planted in the hearts of the many agents erupted completely. Under the pressure of the life countdown and the temptation of the Holy Grail, everyone fell into madness, beginning to view each other as sacrifices while continuously approaching the golden light in the high sky. Everyone wanted to obtain the Holy Grail, and no one wanted others to get it. Once this supreme-level divine artifact fell into the hands of an agent, the battle situation would be completely rewritten, presenting a crushing situation. That Persian mythology fire god agent has good strength, but unfortunately he's too conspicuous and was directly surrounded and attacked. The few agents lingering around still want to wait and see. If they don't act now, they'll completely lose their chance. As expected of the 4th-ranked member of the 10 Imperial Guards, this Vishnu agent Prakash indeed has something. Lin Chia observed the battlefield while silently analyzing the situation in his mind. No matter how these agents fought and killed each other, none came to trouble Lin Chia. They even tacitly avoided the area where Lin Chia was located. This was both a gesture of goodwill and a form of protection. Lin Chia's identity as a prophet was, in everyone's eyes, their guarantee of leaving this place alive. As time passed, more than half of the agents in the melee had been killed or injured. Prakash, who had been quietly moving around the edge of the battlefield, finally began to exert his power. With his terrifying strength, he broke through the encirclement and approached the golden light in the high sky. At this moment he could vaguely see that it was a golden wine flask. The Holy Grail. Shouldn't it be a cup? A trace of doubt flashed through Prakash's mind. But soon he cast this question aside. A wine flask and a cup aren't that different. Perhaps in the culture of Uruk, this object was a special vessel categorized as a cup. Prakash's spiritual power surged forth, his millstone-like palm smashed the skulls of 2 more agents, and he directly reached out to grab the golden wine flask. Poof! Just as Prakash's palm was about to touch the golden wine pot, the latter seemed to be startled by something and suddenly flew upward. In that moment Prakash grabbed nothing but air. Prakash can escape on its own? This Holy Grail truly has a spirit. Seeing that Prakash failed to catch the Holy Grail, the other agents all breathed sighs of relief. At this moment, they also realized that the biggest obstacle on their path to obtaining the Holy Grail was Prakash. Prakash was the agent of Vishnu, one of India's 3 supreme gods. From the hierarchy of divine ruins alone, he could crush everyone present. His overall combat strength ranked 4th among the 10 lords, and against an existence of this level, they had almost no chance of winning in a one-on-one fight. The time for the divine mark to activate is approaching. Let's kill him together, one agent shouted. With these words, the agents who were in the midst of chaotic battle instantly reached consensus, simultaneously attacking Prakash in the sky. Countless divine ruins roared forth like a tidal wave. Prakash's expression became extremely grave. He had been circling around the battlefield, keeping his presence to a minimum, precisely to prevent such a situation of being surrounded. Having finally waited for the opportunity to grab the Holy Grail, only to have it fly away on its own, the situation had taken a sharp turn for the worse. He glanced back at the golden wine pot spinning in the air behind him, a trace of determination appearing in his eyes. If he could obtain the Holy Grail, What did it matter to pay some price? You're seeking death. Prakash looked at the agents charging from all directions, bloodshot lines climbing into his eyes as he growled. Prakash raised his foot and stomped fiercely on empty space. Boom. Invisible ripples spread out, and Prakash's back suddenly arched as two arms burst through his flesh and grew out. His skin began to take on a dark yellow color like Buddhist robes, spreading rapidly. In just a few seconds his entire body had transformed into a dark yellow four-armed Buddha statue, with endless rage emanating from his blood-colored eyes. His four hands formed seals in succession, then pressed down forcefully from the sky. Mysterious and magnificent golden seals condensed from the void, pressing down toward the many agents. Lin Chia let out a soft exclamation. The divine ruins of India's supreme god, indeed somewhat resemble the ancient Buddhas in Dacia mythology, he thought to himself. Thinking carefully he understood the reason. Buddhism in Dacia originally came from India, so it wasn't strange that Indian gods possessed some Buddhist characteristics. Strictly speaking, only Taoism truly originated in Dacia, which is why Dacia's supreme gods were the three pure ones of Taoism. Perhaps other Dacia deities might have Buddhist lineages, but there would never be a Buddhist supreme deity. Even as an agent of a supreme god, could Prakash face 7 or 8 agents of the same level alone? Could he win? While Lin Chia was silently analyzing the situation, somewhere in the night sky, a light blue trace streaked across like a meteor, quietly hovering between the clouds, seemingly observing the chaotic battle below. Lin Chia, constantly aware of his surroundings, immediately noticed its presence. Star coin? Lin Chia's expression brightened. He had set up this scheme precisely to use the agents to draw out the king's star coin. Now that the star coin had appeared, it meant his plan was more than halfway complete. In the dark clouds, a light blue star coin was continuously spinning and jumping, cautiously approaching the battlefield below. Lin Chia monitored the battlefield while keeping track of the approaching star coin. Currently the star coin was too far away. Acting rashly might scare it off. Only when it was close enough would there be a greater chance of capturing it. On the battlefield, Prakash, transformed into a four-armed Buddha statue, tore another agent to pieces. A rain of blood splashed everywhere, yet not a single drop could stain his dark yellow Buddhist robe. Prakash stood amidst the bloody rain, his chest heaving violently. He looked down at the last remaining agent, his eyes blood-red like a god of war. What kind of monster are you? The last agent, having witnessed Prakash's near slaughter, was completely terrified. Transformed into a four-armed Buddha statue, Prakash was simply a killing machine. The gap in strength between them was simply too great. Prakash didn't speak. Those blood-colored eyes stared fixedly at him. His figure flickered, turning into a dark yellow lightning bolt that directly shattered the agent's body. The agent's eyes widened, looking at his own shattered body in disbelief, the light in his eyes gradually fading in deep despair. Prakash walked out from the bloody rain, scanning the corpses on the ground. The dark yellow Buddhist robe on his skin gradually receded, and the extra pair of arms on his back retracted into his body. The moment the Buddhist robe disappeared, his figure swayed, nearly collapsing to the ground. Prakash's face was pale, blood continuously seeping from the corners of his mouth, looking indescribably haggard. "Are you all right?" Lin Chia stepped forward, asking in a concerned tone. "I'm fine, just injured my foundation by overexerting my potential. After this I'll probably be weakened for half a year." Prakash waved his hand and spoke hoarsely, "It seems things turned out as you predicted. We ultimately couldn't escape the fate of killing each other, but at least the Holy Grail is finally in our hands." When Prakash raised his head to look at the golden wine pot that was now within reach, his eyes once again lit up with hope and excitement. With the Holy Grail, the overexerted potential can be quickly restored, and the divine mark within my body can be removed. Prakash seemed to have already foreseen the future, a smile curling at the corners of his mouth. He patted Lin Chia's shoulder and slowly said, "When that time comes I'll take you out with me." "Great." Lin Chia nodded firmly. Prakash took a deep breath and stepped toward the golden wine pot floating in the air. Lin Chia stood behind him, glancing at that star coin in the sky. After all the agents had been killed, that star coin was obviously less interested. Not only did it stop descending, but it also looked toward another direction, seemingly having lost interest in everything here and about to leave. Lin Chia looked in the direction this star coin was moving, his brows slightly furrowed. That direction was Wuching? What was happening there? Questions arose in Lin Chia's mind, but he quickly put them aside. After all, the most important thing now was to keep that star coin in place. He had gone to great lengths to lure out that star coin. If he let it escape now, all his efforts would be wasted. Fortunately, the performance he had prepared for that star coin wasn't completely over yet. Lin Chia's gaze turned forward. Prakash grabbed the startled wine pot that was about to flee, raising it high above his head. With a smile at the corners of his mouth, he proclaimed loudly, "With the lives of 17 divine agents, I wish to the Holy Grail. Erase the divine mark within my body." Whoosh! Rich, fragrant wine gushed from the spout, completely submerging Prakash. An intoxicating wine fragrance wafted through the oasis filled with the smell of blood. The wine god pot seemed to be stunned by the scene before it, with endless wine frantically gushing out from its spout and lid, like tumultuous waves, instantly filling the dried pool bottom beneath Prakash and the surrounding area, continuing to overflow outward. Lin Chia silently retreated several hundred meters. Bang! A figure holding the wine god pot flew out of the sea of wine in a sorry state. Drenched in wine, he landed in the desert near the oasis, staring blankly at the wine pot in his hand. "Miles, why is this Holy Grail still brewing wine? Is this normal?" Prakash asked instinctively, feeling his mind go blank. Lin Chia stood in the dim desert, smiling without a word. Prakash reached out and touched his own body. The divine mark was still there. His wish had not been granted by the Holy Grail. Prakash frowned deeply, ignoring the continuously overflowing wine from the pot spout, and raised the Holy Grail again. "With the lives of 17 divine agents, I wish to the Holy Grail. Remove the divine mark within my body." This time his voice was even louder than before. However, the dark gold wine pot in his hand, apart from continuously seeping wine, showed no change whatsoever. At the edge of the desert, a glimmer of dawn tore through the darkness, with the first light rising from the east. The time limit left by the two deities for their agents was about to expire. Prakash, haggard from overexerting his potential, immediately grew anxious. He looked up at Lin Chia beside him and asked urgently, "Miles, how exactly do I use this Holy Grail? Why hasn't my wish been granted? Is the sacrifice I offered not enough?" Lin Chia glanced at the slowly rising sun in the distance, met Prakash's gaze, and that young amiable western face curved into an elegant smile. "Miles, I'm running out of time. Tell me how to use this thing." Prakash felt a sharp pain from his chest, his whole body trembling. He grabbed Lin Chia's shoulders and shouted almost frantically. Seemingly sensing Prakash's desperation and anxiety, the pentacle in the sky, which was about to leave, suddenly stopped and curiously looked down. This scene was fully captured by Lin Chia's mental perception. He was just one step away from capturing the pentacle. He needed more negative emotions. And right now, the only one who could produce negative emotions was Prakash in front of him. Under Prakash's gaze that was about to burst into flames with urgency, Lin Chia reached out and unhurriedly pushed his monocle. "It's fake." Prakash was stunned. "What's fake?" "Everything is fake." Lin Chia's voice was extremely gentle. The Holy Grail, the prophecy and me, all of it is fake. What you're holding isn't the king's Holy Grail. It's just a wine pot that brews wine belonging to a handsome man. Even if you killed everyone in the world and offered them to it, it couldn't grant your wish." Prakash was dumbfounded. "Impossible, impossible." Prakash shook his head instinctively, muttering, "I worked so hard to get it. If it's fake, what about the divine mark inside me?" "There's no solution." Lin Chia turned his head, the dawn light falling on his face and Prakash's, and said calmly, "These past few days I've been stalling for time, just to catch you at the moment when your divine marks would activate. Now you've run out of time. You don't have time to find the real Holy Grail, nor to go out and beg those two deities to spare your life. All you can do is wait here to die. In my original plan, there should have been a few surviving agents besides you, but I didn't expect you to be so strong enough to kill them all in such a short time. truly worthy of being the agent of the supreme deity. Lin Chia remarked with admiration. Prakash clutched the continuously flowing wine god pot, staring hard at Lin Chia's eyes, his expression twisted and ferocious. Miles, you played us. Why? What benefit does this bring you? I'm sorry, please don't call me Miles. Lin Chia removed his monocle. A brilliant magical light flashed, revealing a young Eastern face. He spoke calmly. Let me introduce myself. I am Lin Chia, captain of the Daxiao Nightwatcher, Nightfall, team, also the dual deity agent you've been looking for. Crack. A thunderbolt flashed through Prakash's mind. He stared blankly at Lin Chia's face, both strange and familiar, standing there as if his soul had left his body. Lin Chia. You are Lin Chia, dual deity agent, prophet. In Prakash's mind he quickly recalled Miles' every move since the agent gathering. From selling information about the dual deity agents' whereabouts, to luring them into conflict with Agents 03 and 04, to rescuing them from the dungeon, then tricking them into killing each other. From the beginning, the dual deity agent they viewed as prey had been hiding among them, playing them like puppets. Prakash's breathing grew heavier, his chest heaving like a balloon. He glared at Lin Chia, feeling as if his lungs would explode with rage. Unprecedented anger, humiliation, unwillingness, and hatred surged in Prakash's heart. At the same time the pentacle, watching from the sky as if witnessing a grand performance, began to cheer and plummet toward them at an astonishing speed. At this moment the negative emotions produced by Prakash alone were even more intense than those generated by the dozen agents betraying and killing each other earlier. To the pentacle, it was a rare delicacy in this world. Lin Chia. Lin Chia. I'll kill you. Prakash roared, his eyes bloodshot, like a beast on the verge of death. Bang. Two arms burst from his back, dark yellow Buddhist robes once again covered his skin. Just as he was about to tear Lin Chia's body apart with his forearms, the latter transformed into a shade of night, instantly vanishing. The next moment, Lin Chia's figure flashed to the sky, right in front of the falling pentacle. Lin Chia's sudden appearance startled the pentacle. It abruptly stopped, about to turn in another direction, but it was too late. A shade of night spread from Lin Chia's clothes, like black ink dripping into water, instantly dyeing the surrounding sky black. Cloaked in night, Lin Chia extended his fingers, grabbing toward the pentacle, like lightning. 5 black pillars descended from the sky, blocking all escape routes for the pentacle. With nowhere to flee, it was finally firmly grasped in Lin Chia's hand. Under the night sky, a pale blue light emanated from Lin Chia's palm, mysterious and powerful. The supreme, divine artifact, the king's pentacle. Prakash saw Lin Chia disappear and immediately looked up. Seeing the pale blue light rotating in Lin Chia's palm, Prakash was stunned. The king's star coin? Then, as if understanding something, his expression became increasingly ferocious. You set up this trap to obtain the king's star coin? That's right, Lin Chia smiled. Unfortunately, you realized too late. Brilliant magical light flashed in Lin Chia's palm, and the next moment a snow-white long blade appeared. With a soft hum the blade was unsheathed. Lin Chia held the star coin in one hand and white slash in the other, instantly vanishing into nothingness. Prakash's pupils contracted as he instinctively retreated backward. A blade light slashed out from the void, nearly grazing his neck and cutting into one of his arms. The sharp blade sank deep into the dark yellow Buddhist robe, but didn't sever the arm. Instead it was embedded like striking steel, unable to move further. A trace of surprise flashed in Lin Chia's eyes. The fact that even white slash couldn't cut through it demonstrated how incredibly hard the Buddhist robe on Prakash's skin was. No wonder Prakash could fight against many opponents earlier and still escape unharmed. Prakash snorted coldly, advancing instead of retreating. He trapped Lin Chia's blade with his arm, his eyes bursting with the surging divine might of the supreme god, charging directly at Lin Chia, who was just inches away. Lin Chia looked at the four-armed Vishnu phantom behind Prakash. The terrifying divine wind mixed with divine might brushed past his cheeks, lifting a few strands of black hair. His eyes narrowed slightly. Comparing divine might with me? In the dawn desert, a pair of dazzling golden lights, brighter than the sun, burst forth from Lin Chia's eyes. Archangel's divine might. Sensing the powerful divine might emanating from Lin Chia, Prakash's expression stiffened. Just as he was about to charge at Lin Chia relying on Vishnu's Buddhist robe, his face suddenly changed dramatically as if he had seen something. Behind Lin Chia, one divine phantom after another appeared. The night goddess Nyx, the god of magic and prophecy Merlin, the god of music and poetry Bragi, the youth god Idun, the great sage equaling heaven wearing a tattered cassock, and the hero king Gilgamesh in royal robes looking down upon all beings. The pressure of 7 divine beings swept across the land like a tsunami, crashing violently into Prakash's chest. Boom! A muffled sound rang out as the Vishnu phantom behind Prakash instantly shattered. He lost control of his body and stumbled backward nearly 10 steps before barely stabilizing himself. Large beads of sweat rolled down his face as he stared at the gradually dissipating divine phantoms behind Lin Chia, his face filled with disbelief. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Prakash's eyes widened. You're not a dual god proxy, you're the proxy of 7 gods. How is this possible? Lin Chia's cloak fluttered in the wild sand as he calmly walked toward Prakash and spoke softly. As I said, your information is outdated. Prakash gritted his teeth, finally recovering from the shock of Lin Chia's 7-god proxy identity, and spoke hoarsely. So what if you proxy more gods? Battle doesn't depend on the number of divine auras. As long as you're still a Klein, you're not invincible, just with more abilities. The first 2 members of the 10 Imperial Guards are true monsters. Even as a 7-god proxy you can't match them. Lin Chia raised an eyebrow. Thanks for the reminder. Lin Chia transformed into a shadow of night, instantly flashing before Prakash, carrying terrifying mental power as he engaged Prakash in battle. Sharp explosions echoed continuously across the desert, sending yellow sand flying everywhere. Having already exhausted his potential and severely wounded, Prakash could only passively defend with his Buddhist robe under Lin Chia's fierce attacks, steadily losing ground. Seeing this, Lin Chia flipped his palm and, white slash, disappeared, replaced by the Kusanagi sword. Slash. A sword light flashed, easily cutting off one of Prakash's arms. Before Prakash could react, Lin Chia struck 3 more times, severing all of Prakash's arms. How is this possible? Prakash exclaimed. He channeled his mental power, and the flesh at the stumps began to squirm rapidly, seemingly trying to regenerate the arms, but some mysterious force prevented any regeneration. Then Prakash seemed to realize something. Is that the Kusanagi sword? You have the Kusanagi sword. Correct guess, Lin Chia said calmly, holding the sword. Unfortunately, it's time for you to go. A flash of sword light, and Prakash's astonished head flew high. The incredibly hard Buddhist robe was as fragile as paper under the Kusanagi sword's edge. As the dark yellow Buddhist robe receded, Prakash's body fell heavily onto the yellow sand, quickly losing all signs of life. Lin Chia's mental power swept over, confirming Prakash was truly dead, before putting away the Kusanagi sword. Prakash's combat prowess had indeed exceeded his expectations. After exhausting his potential to kill 7 or 8 proxies, he still had the strength to engage him for so long. If Lin Chia hadn't wielded the Kusanagi sword to cut through that Buddhist robe, Prakash might have escaped. This battle also served as a warning to Lin Chia. The world beyond the mist was far more dangerous than within Disya's borders. Prakash's combat ability was already impressive, and if he called the first 2 members of the 10 Imperial Guards monsters, they definitely wouldn't be simple. The morning sun rose from the edge of the desert, completely dispelling the darkness in the sky. Corpses lay across the desolate desert, with flowing blood turning the chaotic sands crimson. On this desert stage, only one person emerged as the final winner. Lin Chia brushed the sand off his deep red cloak and holding the star coin, walked slowly toward Wu City, crossing the blood-colored desert littered with corpses. Wu City. The storm clouds pressing down on the sky gradually dispersed. Claude, holding the Holy Grail, walked out from between jumping electric arcs. 2 strands of flesh floated up from the lightning pool and fell into the crimson liquid inside the Holy Grail. The dreamlike liquid swayed slightly, reflecting Claude's calm face. All the proxies who had descended into the ancient well except for him had become sacrifices for the Holy Grail, and would become stepping stones for him to erase his own mark. Not enough yet, Claude murmured. His gaze fell on the chaotic ancient city in the distance. The city lord had been killed by the Holy Grail, and combined with the natural phenomenon of large-scale lightning just now, all residents in the city had fallen into panic. The flames triggered by lightning had set several houses on fire, and the fire was rapidly spreading throughout the city. Do I have no choice but to slaughter the entire city? Claude's expression showed reluctance. Although the life force of those dead agents was strong, these sacrifices were not enough to wish for the removal of their divine marks. The Holy Grail needed more lives as sacrifices. Claude could kill those agents as sacrifices for the Holy Grail, because they attacked first, but these innocent residents now. Claude hesitated for a long time, then closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. I'm sorry, I don't want to die. He opened his eyes, a flash of determination crossing them, and his figure transformed into a bolt of lightning, flying rapidly toward the center of the city. It's an invader. The invader has the Holy Grail. He wants to use us as sacrifices. He killed the old city lord. Everyone attack. As soon as Claude landed, several residents around him shouted loudly, and immediately several divine artifacts whistled through the air. Even without the scepter, controlled by the old city lord, there were still many divine artifacts lying dormant within the dark city. Claude narrowed his eyes and slowly raised the Holy Grail in his hand, about to make a wish when a muffled sound suddenly came from a nearby alley. Clay. A golden ripple emerged from the shadows of the alley, instantly enveloping the center of the dark city, covering Claude who held the Holy Grail. The moment he saw this golden ripple, Claude's pupils contracted sharply. The scepter? Claude couldn't be mistaken. When they first entered the king's treasury, these agents had their spiritual power drained by this golden ripple, resulting in their collective capture. But now the old city lord had clearly been killed by him. How could anyone still use the scepter? Claude looked toward the alley where the golden ripple appeared and saw a familiar figure standing ghost-like in the shadows, holding the scepter. Number 22. Number 22 held a blurry mass of flesh in one hand and the scepter in the other. Those cold eyes stared at Claude and the Holy Grail in his hand, a smile curling at his lips. I told you. I had a way to obtain the scepter. As number 22's words fell, powerful spiritual energy transformed into pale golden threads flew out from Claude's body. Claude felt his body empty, nearly collapsing to the ground. This is bad. Claude's heart sank. He had thought that with the Holy Grail, and having killed the old city lord who was the only one able to control the scepter, he was now the strongest being in the dark city. But he never imagined that number 22 had truly mastered the scepter, left behind by the old city lord. Now he had stepped within the effective range of the scepter. Claude's mind raced as he forced himself to stay alert, gripping the Holy Grail tightly, immediately about to make a wish. I wish realm ret. Before he could finish saying return, number 22, who had absorbed Claude's spiritual power, flashed forward like a swift shadow. Having lost his spiritual realm, Claude had completely become an ordinary person holding the Holy Grail, while number 22, who had fully absorbed Claude's peak Klein realm's spiritual power, had his strength surge dramatically. Number 22 raised his hand and waved, causing an unprecedented wave of lust to rise from the depths of Claude's heart. It felt as if ants were crawling all over his body, endless hallucinations instantly filling his mind, temporarily robbing him of his ability to think. In just this moment of hesitation, number 22 had rushed to his front. He kicked the Holy Grail from Claude's hand with lightning speed, and simultaneously twisted his body, his palm piercing through Claude's chest. Splat! Blood splattered, spraying onto number 22's face and the ancient stone bricks below. As Claude's consciousness gradually returned, he stared blankly at the palm embedded in his chest and the cold expression of number 22, struggling to open his mouth as if wanting to say something. Number 22 narrowed his eyes and directly yanked the heart he was gripping out of Claude's body. Claude's body shuddered, the light in his eyes fading as he fell stiffly to the ground, completely ceasing to breathe. Without their realm and divine void, even the 10 attendants are nothing special. Number 22 casually tossed the heart toward the Holy Grail, on the ground. Strands of blood extended into the crimson liquid, raising the water level slightly. Number 22 bent down to pick up the dark golden chalice, staring at the rippling surface of the wine, his smile growing more intense. The Holy Grail, that can fulfill any wish, and that scepter, that can requisition any power. Now beneath the gods, who can stop me? A low laugh emerged from number 22's throat. He paused for a moment as if thinking of something, a murderous intent flashing in his eyes. Once I get the sword that can slay gods, I can kill that woman Philotheus. I need more sacrifices. Number 22's gaze fell on the dark city residents in the distance. For some reason, the moment they made contact with number 22's gaze, the dark city residents felt a chill in their limbs, as if some cold aura was flowing from their feet to their heads. It was killing intent. Whoosh. Number 22's figure transformed into a blur, rapidly flashing into the crowd. Cold glints flashed past and countless wails and screams rang out in succession. Corpses fell on the hard stone pavement like harvested wheat, blood quickly spreading along the grooves between the bricks, rapidly staining the streets of the dark city. In the chaos, several divine artifacts soared into the sky, shooting straight toward the madly slaughtering number 22. Number 22 expressionlessly raised the scepter and slammed it heavily onto the ground. Golden ripples spread out, sending all the divine artifacts flying back. The scepter could forcibly requisition power within a certain range. Without being supreme level, these divine artifacts couldn't approach number 22, nor could they harm him in the slightest. For number 22, who possessed both the Holy Grail and the scepter, this was a completely one-sided massacre. As number 22 advanced, countless residents lost their lives, falling into pools of blood, transforming into strands that poured into the Holy Grail, becoming sacrifices for wishes. At this moment, the entire dark city resembled hell. Meanwhile, Divine Mental Hospital. Aha! Painful roars echoed within the golden circle in the courtyard. Gilgamesh, locked to the throne, twisted his body like a madman, his bloodshot eyes nearly bursting from their sockets. Mere outside nobodies dare to slaughter in Uruk. The king will tear you into pieces. Tear you into pieces. Nearby, Bragi crouched in the corner with his hands covering his ears, unable to help saying, "He's gone mad. Gilgamesh has gone mad again. Monkey, do something about him." Sun Wukong, sitting on the stone throne, frowned deeply. He stood up from his seat and walked directly to the constantly trembling black throne. "Gilgamesh. Kill you. The king will definitely kill you." Endless divine power erupted from Gilgamesh's body, making the ground rumble and shake. "Release the king. Release me. I must kill him." "Wake up," Sun Wukong said in a deep voice, his right hand clenched into a fist, carrying terrifying power, and smashed it into Gilgamesh's abdomen. Boom. An invisible shockwave exploded from the black throne, instantly sweeping through every corner of the courtyard. Gilgamesh groaned, painfully hunching over, heavy chains restraining his body, making clanking sounds. "This king will kill you. This king will definitely kill you." Gilgamesh roared again. Boom. Sun Wukong frowned and threw another punch, trying to pull Gilgamesh back to reality from his chaos. This time clarity still didn't appear in his eyes. He struggled to raise his head, those turbid eyes filled with pain, staring fixedly at Sun Wukong before him. "This king will kill you. This king is the ruler of Uruk. Those who harm my Uruk citizens die." Sun Wukong stared at Gilgamesh's almost distorted face, frozen in place. Gilgamesh. In the vast desert, Lin Chia sensed the situation in the hospital, his brows tightly furrowed. This time Gilgamesh's symptoms were more severe than before. Damn, what exactly happened? Just then, as if he saw something, his eyes narrowed, looking toward the horizon. Surging flames rose from behind the distant black city walls, turning half the sky red. Countless human wails and sounds of collapsing buildings faintly reached him. Something's happened in Wu City? Lin Chia's heart sank. In his mind, connecting to Gilgamesh's symptoms just now, a thought suddenly flashed through his mind. It's worth noting that the people living in Wu City are all descendants of the ancient Uruk kingdom, and the blood flowing in their veins is all from Uruk. In a sense, Wu City is a part of the Uruk kingdom left behind from countless ages ago. Could it be that Gilgamesh's illness is related to Wu City? Lin Chia gritted his teeth, pushing his speed to the limit, rushing toward Wu City's walls. Moments later he landed on the city wall, looking down at the scene inside the city, his pupils slightly contracting. The once peaceful and harmonious Wu City was now covered in flames. Numerous brutally killed corpses and divine artifacts that had lost their luster lay scattered across the streets. Blood stained the ancient stone bricks, a horrifying sight. "This is..." Lin Chia murmured. Wails and cries came from the other side of the city. Lin Chia turned to look and saw many Wu City residents fleeing in panic toward the city gates, occasionally looking back as if being chased by death itself. On top of the collapsed building ruins, a figure holding the scepter, in his left hand, and the Holy Grail, in his right, slowly emerged from the fire. Countless blood threads floated in the air, falling into the Holy Grail, turning into crimson wine that gently swayed along the cup walls. His lips curled slightly upward. "That should be enough." He raised the Holy Grail in his right hand and spoke leisurely. "I wish remove the mark." Dreamlike light flashed from the dark golden cup walls, and the crimson wine swirling inside suddenly dropped a notch. At the same time, a dull breaking sound came from within his body, and a mark dissolved into points of light, dispersing in the air. He let out a long breath, his expression relaxing somewhat. "Number 22? Lin Chia saw that face and frowned deeply. He really got the scepter. And where did the Holy Grail come from? Countless thoughts flashed through Lin Chia's mind. After hesitating for a moment, a brilliant magical light flashed, and he transformed back into Miles, flying straight toward number 22. Whatever the case, he needed to stop the slaughter of Wu City residents first. Number 22 was chasing residents fleeing toward the city gates when his gaze suddenly focused, turning to look behind him. "Miles?" he asked in surprise. "Number 22, what exactly is happening here?" Lin Chia walked up to him and asked solemnly. Number 22 didn't answer Lin Chia's question, but instead looked behind him and asked, "Where are the other agents? Did you find the Holy Grail?" "We didn't find it. There was a problem with my prophecy." "Oh." Number 22's eyes narrowed. "Why are you killing these natives?" "As you can see, I'm accumulating sacrifices for the Holy Grail." Number 22 shrugged and said, "I've already used a wish to remove the divine mark in my body, and now I want to make another wish." "What wish?" Number 22 stared at Lin Chia, his lips curling into a smile. "I wish, reveal your true form." The moment number 22's words fell, the Holy Grail flashed with light, and in the next instant, Lin Chia's body suddenly distorted. The magical light shattered from Lin Chia's body surface. As the points of light dispersed, his true appearance was exposed to the air. Lin Chia's face immediately darkened. "As I suspected, you're not the prophet Miles." Number 22 seemed to have anticipated this, sneering. "If I hadn't sensed the Holy Grail in advance, I might have really been fooled by your lies. I wondered why you went to such lengths to rescue me from the dungeon. Now I see your targets were the agents who left with you. They're probably all dead by now, aren't they?" Number 22 stared at Lin Chia's face, pausing for a moment. "Who exactly are you?" Lin Chia looked at him silently and after a moment of silence said, "I am..." Swoosh. Before Lin Chia could finish speaking, both he and number 22 simultaneously launched lightning-fast attacks at each other. Who Lin Chia was didn't really matter to number 22. He just wanted to catch Lin Chia at his most relaxed moment and end his life, turning him into another sacrifice. And Lin Chia similarly wanted to seize the opportunity to kill his opponent before number 22 could use the Holy Grail and Hector, these two supreme, divine artifacts. The two palms collided in midair and two divine domains, one black, one pink, rapidly spread outward. Invisible gusts howled and both men were forced back several steps by each other's spiritual power. Number 22 stared at his palm in shock as if pondering. "The night goddess's divine domain. It's you? You're the dual god agent Lin Chia?" Number 22 exclaimed in surprise. "The intelligence you gave us was actually true?" Seeing his identity exposed, Lin Chia no longer bothered to disguise himself and calmly replied. True lies are more believable, aren't they? Number 22 looked Lin Chia up and down, light flickering in his eyes. He licked his somewhat chapped lips and sneered. Interesting. Just as I obtained 2 supreme, divine artifacts, the dual god agent delivers himself to my doorstep. My luck today is truly exceptional.